All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the Business B.E.A.R podcast. It's your buddy Connor Norman here, the Business Development Specialist with Garrett County Government, and I have got an exciting new episode today. Today, we're going to be talking about a great organization in our community that has literally been changing lives for 60 years. For those listening for the first time, this is your mover and shaker podcast that lets you know what's happening in your community. The idea is to inform you so that you're better prepared to take advantage of what we can offer you in Garrett County. Keep in mind, this podcast is endorsed by Garrett County Government and Garrett County Business Development. Any opinions expressed by the host or their guest are their own and do not necessarily reflect that of either organization. So, now that we've got that out of the way, we're going to go right into it. I am blessed to be joined here by my friend and the president of Garrett County Community Action, Mr. Chris Mullett. Chris, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
I'm happy to have you in here, my friend. I think you have been a great leader of this organization, and I'm just excited to kind of break down how influential community action has been in our region for 60 years. You know, before we kind of jump into that, I want to introduce people to you. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Chris.
All right, so I've been in nonprofit leadership for a long time. I worked for World Vision Appalachia in Philippi, West Virginia, as their manager of training and capacity development. We worked with nonprofits all across Appalachia to increase their ability to work with children, in particular, within their communities. Then I went and worked for a homeless shelter, ran a homeless shelter in Clarksburg, West Virginia for 10 years, which was a lot of challenges, but we while I was there, we built housing for veterans. We built women and children's shelter. We opened 2 sober living homes for men and women. And so that was a really good time. After that, I started the West Virginia chapter of the Epilepsy Foundation, which is, so I was building support networks and building community with doctors and providers, people that were suffering. And that was really good. And it's great still to see those groups meeting and things happening. Then I was at Burlington United Methodist Family Services for about 4 years, starting just as the pandemic started. I joined them, and they're all over West Virginia doing a lot of different work for families and children, and that was a great part of my career. But when I saw this open up in Garrett County a year and a half ago, well, 2 years ago, I knew that this was something I wanted to try.
Definitely.
And so started January 1st of 2024. So I've been here 18 months. And it's been great. Love it. And this is really, there's so much that community action is doing for the community. There's so much more we could do for the community. And so I'm excited to be here, to be working with our partners, with the just folks in the community who've been so open and willing to volunteer and help and share ideas and share the truth about struggles that they're having.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those have been great things. So
nice. Well, first of all, let me say, what an impressive career in helping people. I want to say, thank you for what you've done for the Appalachian people. I think it's so awesome to have you here in our community leading this great organization and talking about the difference community action is making in our area. Let's say somebody's coming into it for the first time. Could you tell me kind of what Garrett County Community Action is?
In 1964, President Johnson created the Economic Opportunity Act. Out of that grew Head Start programs. Out of that grew community action agencies. And so there's a community action agency that covers every county in the United States.
Okay.
When it started, so the act was signed into law in 1964. In 1965, somebody showed up here with a car with some literature in the trunk and notebooks and pens and pencils, and they went to some of the more challenging areas of the county and went door to door and recruited some local folks to help them go door to door and to find out what are the things in this community that are broken and need fixed. What are the things that could make this community more fully alive, thriving? What do you need? That's what they did. Yeah. And that's what happened across the United States, and that's why every community action agency looks different, because Incredible. They started with the people saying, this is what we need. These are the gaps in our county. And we still do that. Every 2 years, we do a needs assessment. The health department has been helping us with that for a long time, and we've just kind of piggybacked with them when they do their needs assessment. We join in that. They ask a lot of the questions that we need to be asked.
Yeah.
And but this coming fall, I think we'll be able to get it done this soon. We're gonna be doing our own needs assessment, and I'm gonna be going into every community across the county and doing town hall meeting essentially to sit down with people in that community to hear them, to listen to what they're still struggling with, and are there things that we're doing at Community Action that are no longer needed? Where do we need more? What do we need that's different?
Yeah.
And so we just, part of Community Action, it all starts with the word community, right? That that's what we exist to do. And in fact, in the national mission statement, there's kind of three things that stick out to me. It says that in essence, that Community Action exists to address both the causes and conditions of poverty in order to create a more equitable nation. So we want to give people that opportunity. You know,
Yeah.
I was born into a home with two educated parents who weren't addicted, weren't beating each other up, weren't going to prison.
Yeah.
Raised me in a community that had great public schools, sent me to college. I didn't have a bit of debt going to college. I was born on second base in the game of life. I was born on second base. I didn't hit a double. I was placed there, right? So whatever I do from there is up to me, and I've worked very hard. But to say that I didn't have a ton of privilege would just be ridiculous. And so a lot of people in our country are born without access to even the equipment to play the game.
Yeah.
Or a ride to the field, or parents who would sit in the stands and cheer for them, right? I mean,
Yeah.
And it's not just about that person that doesn't get in the game. It hurts our whole nation. Every community suffers because of the people who can't access the places of education, employment, transportation, housing, all of if somebody isn't able to access those things, we all suffer. Because who knows who would have hit the ball out of the park? Who knows who would have come at it with a great new invention or energy for some new company? Who would have been a great mover and shaker in the community? That's who you're interviewing, is the movers and shakers in Garrett County. Who knows who would have been there had they had the opportunity that I had? And so community actions really want to, and that's the whole idea about Head Start, is creating early childhood education for a lot of kids that otherwise would not have high quality early childhood education.
That's spectacular.
So that's kind of, that's what community action is about, is and again, it starts with community. It starts in the community of asking them, what do you need?
I think that is fantastic, and what a great way to articulate, what the community action is and what it stands for in our community. And I think nationally you covered that too. And it's nice to see that there's efforts. There was understanding that there needed to be an effort to like you said, help arm the community with what they needed to succeed. And there was it's kind of hard to say there's a one size fits all. So having a community action, you get that tailored experience for that particular county. In our case, our community here, so that we know exactly what our needs are moving forward, and that you guys can help pinion your resources to help fill that.
Right.
And speaking of those resources, let's talk a little bit about the aspects of community action that people in Garrett County could take advantage of. Like we talked about Head Start. Could we start there and kind of move our way up through the other departments?
Yeah, I think, just big picture, we have 43 different programs that are operated by, I think, currently 172 employees, something like that. And, but just to make it so that's the very biggest picture. The most specific picture is I was walking into your office 15 minutes ago and spoke to a courthouse employee downstairs, had met his mom at one of our senior living facilities. And so I asked about her. Hey, is your mom still at? And he said, oh, yeah, although right now she's under the weather a little bit. But he went on to, and I was just going to move at that. I just wanted to ask about her.
Mm-hmm.
He said, but I just want to say that in that senior living facility, all of those people that live there look out for each other. And it's a huge burden off of my shoulders to know that my mom
Oh, wow.
is being looked after. And this isn't a care facility. It's a residential, it's just a senior living facility.
Yeah.
There's nobody there taking care of folks. It's not a nursing home. It's just an apartment for seniors. And he feels safer having his mom there. Well, that's one of the things that we do. We have senior centers that people can come to. If you're over 60, if you're 60 and above, you can come and get a meal and hang out with people and have activities. They do trips, they do bingo, they do music, they all kinds of things that are happening. And I did a listening session in each of our senior living facilities, and the things I heard over and over in every place, I would hear at least one or two people say, I was just sitting in my apartment, just life passing me by, and I was very depressed. And then you guys started Garrett Neighbors. So we have a woman that goes out and coordinates activities in the senior living facilities.
Isn't that great?
And now people are out there in the community rooms, and they're doing trips and fundraisers, and they feel alive again.
That's so good.
Yeah. So those senior programs are wonderful. The county's senior ombudsman is on our staff. So if a senior is having problems with their Medicare or something like that, they can reach out. In the late winter, spring of the year, we do free tax preparations. We prepared taxes for free for over 500 people this year in Garrett County. That's a huge number.
Yes,
and
tremendous.
So if you make less than $65,000, and you're paying for somebody else to do your taxes, you don't have to. You can come to our VITA program, and it'll be done for you.
Yeah.
We own the majority of the subsidized housing in the county. That was one of the things that 30 years ago the county was saying, we need more residences for low-income people. And so Community Action with some other community partners began building multifamily units, and now we have close to 700 in the county.
Wow.
Yeah.
And would you say you say they're pretty much full?
Oh yeah, there's a waiting list for everything.
Wow.
We have homeless services if somebody is homeless in the county, and we have a shelter on site. So if somebody needs help with utilities, energy assistance, we do that. We provided energy assistance through it. It's a state project, but to over 2,400 households in the county last year. There's only 13,000 households in the county.
Yeah.
So it's a huge percentage
Definitely.
of people that are getting that help. And I don't know what will happen when those dollars go away, which it looks like they could, and that'll be a major blow to people who are living on the edge anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So energy assistance is a thing. We do first time home buyers project. If you are looking to buy a house, you ought to ask your lender about participating in our pathway to homeownership, because every lender in the county knows who Kelly is, and they'll pick up the phone and call Kelly and say, hey, I've got somebody. We provide classes that are that the person has to go through in order to participate in that program, but it's a class on budgeting and home ownership, and really helps get people prepared for that process. We run the county's transit system. Garrett Transit is one of our projects, and provides transportation to, I think last year there were 1,400 unique users of Garrett Transit last year. One of the things that Garrett Transit does on a daily basis is that they deliver Meals on Wheels to 200 senior residents in our county.
Wow. And
the thing that happened, the really interesting thing that happens there is that when our driver goes to the door and delivers a meal, that person's getting a well check. I've done ride-alongs with those folks delivering the meals, and they know every person by name. The person's excited to see them. They check up on them. There were a couple of homes where nobody answered the door. Our delivery person made contact with the emergency call person immediately got the help that was needed. I've been in our nutrition area when a driver has come back and come into the director's office and said, "Hey, I delivered to this new person today, and they need more than just a meal. You really need to have somebody from our aging services check on this person." And then that person got other services that they needed based on the recommendation of that driver, just based on the driver having eyes on that person.
Yeah.
So Meals on Wheels is so much more than just nutrition.
Oh, yeah.
And we have a waiting list for that, unfortunately. That's a thing that we need to do more of, but don't have the funding to do it. We are, and we're just always looking, what's next, right? We belong to several organizations. There's a group called Rural LISC. LISC stands for Local Initiative Support Council, and they are their own nonprofit, but they support their member nonprofits in doing their thing locally. So we're looking at acquiring some apartments and renovating those apartments. Rural LISC has dollars to help us do that.
Nice.
We belong to FAHI, which is the Federation of Appalachian Housing Enterprises, and they're 50-member organizations, and they're the same. If we need technical assistance with writing a grant or even need a loan, they have money that they'll lend or even grant. So we belong to them. We're always looking at what they're doing. They have a huge, audacious goal of doubling the housing stock, because that's what's needed in Appalachia, doubling the housing stock that their member organizations have by 2030. They want to serve more people, and that's what we're about. We see people struggling, and we want to get people to a place where they have economic mobilities and where they can overcome some of the challenges that they've got in their lives. So those are big things. The Maryland Community Action Partnership is a huge benefit to us, and the National Community Action Partnership. They're always just scanning the horizon, looking at where are the things where we could stumble, where are the things where there are opportunities to do good in our communities, and they try to resource us to do those things. And so our staff, our leadership, from finance to operations to economic development, we are always looking, what's the next thing? How can we benefit the people that we serve in Garrett County, Maryland?
Wow. It's kind of like your head is almost full to bursting when you hear about all the things that community action can offer and all the lives that you guys are touching on a daily basis. Everything from children in Head Start programs to seniors on Meals on Wheels programs. This is a lot to kind of manage and take care of on a daily basis. You've got over 170 dedicated employees doing a spectacular job every day, going above and beyond what they're supposed to be doing. And I'm sure with an organization like this, you're probably looking for volunteers maybe to come by and help. Do you guys take volunteers? Is there ways people can plug in to be engaged? And maybe, I understand that every dollar you guys have is another dollar you use in your services. Are there ways to donate? Are there ways for people to fundraise for you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. We're trying to figure out some of that as far as the donations go. One of the programs where we have the longest, maybe the program where we have the longest waiting list, is home repair. Okay. We have a department, asset development department, where we have a weatherization program and a crisis weatherization program, and we're developing a budget counseling and housing counseling department, making it more robust. We just hired somebody to do that, and she just passed her certifications in being able to do that counseling with people in the county. But so our weatherization and crisis weatherization, a lot of times they'll go out to homes and find that home needs pretty significant home repair. Or sometimes people will just call in and say, hey, my porch has fallen off. Or, hey, I'm in a wheelchair now and I need a ramp. And so we've got a list that's, way too long. Mm-hmm. And it would be longer, but oftentimes when we tell people, well, we've got 75 homes on a waiting list for a repair, they'll just say, well, never mind. Because they know they're not ever going to get to the top of that list. So over time, I really would like to develop a program whereby we could use more volunteers to do that work, to go out and build a ramp, to go out and install a door if it's a simple thing that people could do. So we're looking at that, but we're also looking at what's the average cost of when we get called to do a home repair? Is it $7,500? Is it $10,000 that we would spend on average on a project like that? And then go to the community and say, hey, listen, we want to knock this waiting list down, and we need to raise money to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there'll be more opportunities. Right now, we got a local Marines group just this week gave us a check for $5,000 for Meals on Wheels.
Spectacular.
Right? And it's a great thing. But, Meals on Wheels this year is showing a huge loss, and it does every year, right? That's something that's super important. We get some funding for, but it's not enough. I mean, and when I say a huge loss, I'm talking in the neighborhood of $100,000.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
It costs a lot of money to prepare and deliver 200 meals a day to see. I mean, Garrett County's a huge geographic region.
Definitely.
So we've got people running we have 6 delivery routes. All those routes have a driver. It's expensive, but necessary. And but we're taking a huge loss there. So when we get a donation like that, $5,000 from a local group, that means so much to us.
Yeah. And what is the cost per meal? It's something like $5 or something.
Something like
you guys have got it down to. So I mean, even so much as $10. Look, you're helping to provide 2 meals.
100%. But as far as the volunteers go, we've been doing. We use a lot of volunteers in our senior program. We have volunteer instructors in our senior fitness program. We are opening a new program called the 360 Access Hub in coordination with the County Health Department and with Maryland Physicians Care and some other partners. And we'll need volunteers to come alongside us there and do stocking of shelves, prepping of boxes of food, delivery of food, doing intakes with people when they come in to receive food, because one of the thing that's going to set that apart, we're not trying to duplicate services of other food pantries. There's lots of food pantries across the county doing a great job meeting the needs of people in their local communities. The difference will be is when they come to us, they're going to go through an assessment. We're going to use essentially the same assessment that we use for Head Start families, which is a life scale plan, and it rates you on 16 different aspects, from education to employment to housing to transportation, and it will allow us then, when you are assessed that way, it will allow us to say, oh, well, it looks like from this assessment that this other service that we also have, or that Maryland Physicians Care provides, or that the health department provides, or that Dove Center provides, or whoever, looks like you could use that service as well. Can we make a referral for you? And then we can hook people up right then and there and get them the services that they need. So that's kind of spectacular. That's our model, and we'll need a ton of volunteers. We've already had. There's a new group in town, in the county, called Community Works Garrett County, C-Works they go by. They've already provided over 100 volunteer hours just to come in and clean and paint get the 360 Access Hub ready for us. There've been about 20 different volunteers that have come over there because of C-Works.
Wow.
To help us out, and that's been and they're looking for other opportunities. So.
Now you're giving it out there to the listeners.
Yeah.
There's ways they can help you.
No, and I want they'll continue to help us, but they're looking to do 3 or 4 volunteer service projects every month.
How cool is that?
Yeah. But so as far as giving, we do need volunteers, and yes, we do need lots of money. There's there are lots of opportunities here that we need. I think our one of our biggest needs, and I think this is across the board, every place I go, this is what they talk about, is housing, right? There's,
Certainly.
And the reality is that we have a homeless shelter that is always full with 15 to 20 people on a waiting list, and they can't get out of our homeless shelter because we don't kick people out at a specific time. It's not 30-day or 60-day or 90-day. We have case managers who are working hard with those individuals or families every day, and they're going to stay there until they find a better option, right? We're not, because to put them out after 90 days is just to restart their project, their process.
Yeah, you're just going to end up bringing them back in at some point.
Absolutely. So that while we've got them, let's work with them, and so many leave and have such great success, such great permanency in employment and housing, because they're allowed the time it takes to do it.
Yeah.
But what that means is those people aren't moving fast. There's no space really in the subsidized housing, those 700 units that are available across the county for low income folks. Those people aren't moving because there's nowhere for them to go.
Yeah.
Right. So we really want to create a system. We want to figure out a way to create some purchasable homes on the other end of that are at a price point that, working with our housing counseling people, working with our budget counseling people, and working with some savings programs, that they can be ready after a couple of years to move on to some affordable housing. Housing that exists at a price point that would allow somebody to go from public housing to home ownership. And that will help the waiting list to move faster.
Oh,
and
definitely.
The image is, we've created our public housing has largely become a reservoir. We want it to be a river.
Yeah.
Let's create a way for people to move through. And some people will always need it. There are people that can't work, and I really get disturbed by people who are they just need to get a job, or they need to get a better job. Like, when I ran a homeless shelter, I had people that looked perfectly healthy and functional from the outside, and I would get criticized for housing people that looked like they shouldn't need to be in a homeless shelter. And I would invite people to stop by for a conversation and to let me know which one of the voices in that poor woman's head spoke to them that day.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
It's just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. And so there are a ton of people living in subsidized housing that are always going to live in subsidized housing, and that's perfectly fine. That's what a country does, right? It's a public good not to have people dying on the street.
Yeah.
But the folks who can move on, we want them to move on.
Definitely.
And we want to give them a means to do that. Right now, a lot of them don't have a means to do that.
Yeah, I certainly believe that there's that kind of loss of concept. The whole idea was to create these public services to help those in need, and then for those that have or that can transition to the next level, it seems like you said, it should have been that river. It should be this thing where we've built that people can naturally take the next step, and it shouldn't be a hindrance.
And for most people, it is. I was in a business 2 months ago, and I had to give them my personal information. They were asking for, my name, my address, my employer. And when I said Garrett County Community Action, 3 staff people came out of back offices to say, and all of these people now are not using our services, other than I think one has a child in Head Start. But those 3 staff people came out to say, oh my gosh, when my husband and I were getting our start, we would have never made it without the boost that we got through energy assistance, or through utility assistance, or through we lived at Underwood or at Glades or at Pinewood for 2 years, and then we were able to get our own place. Right?
Wow,
I hear
cool
that all the time. So the idea that there's so many people in America that just get on public assistance and just stay there, it's not really true. Like, the systems are set up to demand otherwise. Like, if you've never been on Medicaid or food stamps or whatever, you don't have any idea how often you've got to check in and what you've got to do to continue to receive those services. It's a very heavy lift for folks, and people that can't do otherwise end up staying for a long time, and that's okay. That's what a civilized country does. But for the people who have the ability to move on, the vast majority move on. And again, I hear it around the county all the time of, wow, we used that, and it really helped us, and it set us up for success. We used the housing counseling, budget counseling, so that we could use your first-time homebuyers project, and now we own our own home. And I mean, it's incredibly gratifying to hear as many people around the county talk about the services that they used and the way that it did exactly what community action is designed to do, which is to deal with the causes and conditions of poverty in order to create a more equitable nation. Like that's I think Garrett County Community Action has done that for the people of Garrett County.
That's excellent and refreshing to hear some of those testimonials. I imagine it just does everyone good to know that, as a community and as an agency, you guys have been able to uplift these people, and now you're leading the agency into 60 years. I mean, how does that feel?
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is that we've been here this August. We'll celebrate 60 years of existence in Garrett County. I'm only the third president.
That's something.
Right? So continuity of leadership, I think there's something to that, right?
Absolutely. Stick around, which is great.
My predecessor, Dwayne Yoder, never saw an opportunity that he let go. Like he was dogged in taking advantage of every opportunity that there was to make lives better in Garrett County. And because of that, we have 43 programs and 170 staff and all the things that are happening because he just wouldn't quit. And the first person that came and opened up the trunk of their car and started recruiting community members to go door to door to say, hey, what can we do for you? What's the community need that it doesn't have now? Where are the areas? Who are the people that are really suffering? What do we need? Those people that came and broke ground made it a very fertile thing for Dwayne then to be able to take over and grow it the way that he grew it. And now, my hope is that I'll be here to steward the work and to grow the work and to
absolutely
and to oversee another period of time that is really beneficial to the folks who need a hand up.
That's spectacular.
In Garrett County.
Now, where would you see community action growing in the future?
Well, I think
if you had your wish list.
I mean, I think so I'm going to go out this fall and really listen across the communities. I'm going to, from Bloomington to Friendsville, from Finsel to Kitzmiller, Krellen.
We always have a beautiful anthem in there.
Do it all, man. I love the little towns. I love the little places across the county. And in fact, I come up the mountain every day, up back Bound Mountain. So I come through Bloomington and past the turnoff to Swanton on one side and Kitzmiller on the other side. I just love all that. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
So I want to hear what the people have to say. I think, so I don't want to say too much about where I see it going, other than we have to get creative and make local partnerships to create the kind of housing that is needed. And some of they're doing that, public-private partnership that's putting in a housing development up in Grantsville. That Dwayne and Community Action were part of kind of getting that ball rolling 10 years ago, and have continued to be involved in some ways. But that's gonna, building 70 homes is a needle mover, right? That's for a county of our size. Putting in that many homes that are kind of in that middle income area really going to be that's really going to be key. I think that we may be able to form some local partnerships with individuals, businesses, and agencies where we can generate dollars to build on a little smaller scale than that, and do some infilling. One of the priorities of our our FAHI partnership, one of the strategies is to do infilling. Infilling means that when if a house falls into disrepair and is removed from a street, that you backfill with another house, right? Rather than building a development out somewhere, you backfill that space. Backfilling also has to do with, if a large building it ceases to be used for whatever purpose it was, transforming it into housing. Because you've already got water taps, you've got the utilities there, the space is already taken up. Let's redevelop that. And so we're going to be looking for how we can do some of that infilling here in Oakland and in other communities. It just makes for a more vital community if you can revitalize a building that's been sitting, then it'll revitalize just by naturally what's around it. There's a sociological theory. It's a truth really more than a theory, called the broken window theory, and that says that if a window is broken in a neighborhood and it's repaired, then more windows will not be broken. But if you leave that broken window unrepaired, then people will start breaking other windows, and that's just true. That happens everywhere.
Yeah.
And so if we can find the broken windows in Garrett County and start repairing them, it'll help communities. And I'm a big believer in neighborhoods. I grew up with Mrs. Stickle next door, who could yell at me and punish me just like my own mom, and I think that was good for me as a 7-year-old, right? To get caught by Mrs. Stickle doing something. I think there's something really healthy about that, where we know our neighbors, where we're close to our neighbors, and where people watch out for each other.
Certainly.
Just like the employee downstairs that said his mom living in senior living, that's what he said. They all watch out for each other. And that's what neighbors do. That's what community is. So that's kind of, I think housing development is really important, but I think we have to look at what that's going to look like going forward, how we're going to do that just a little bit differently because it's so expensive to develop housing.
Yeah.
And then it becomes unattainable to the people that we're really trying to give that hand up to. So we need to find ways to do it for less, so that it is affordable to the people who we're trying to serve.
Yeah, excellent, and I think well said. It's certainly a hot topic in the community, and from the business development standpoint, one big thing that we do on a daily basis is go around and visit our employers and talk about their concerns. And I think top of the list, if not the absolute first, always revolves around, finding employees and then helping employees with finding housing. So
Right.
it's a hot button issue that I think is going to continue in heading that direction, or trying to tackle that issue is, I think, a worthy cause, and certainly something that's going to keep us busy, for a while to come.
Right. But I think if we can get, part of the one of the negative things about living in subsidized housing is that you can only make so much. Right?
Yeah.
There's a hard limit. And when I was raising my children, I worked 2 and 3 jobs and sold plasma to make ends meet, because that's what I had to do. But had I lived in public housing at the time, I couldn't have done that, and so I would have just been stuck. And so we need to figure out how to better manage that whole process, to be able to get folks out of there, so that because some of the workforce issues in the county could be handled by people working a job and a half or 2 jobs.
Yeah.
Like a lot of young people do.
Oh, definitely. A lot of people have the ability and the energy to
Absolutely.
be more industrious and ambitious in that way. But you're right. At the end of the day, when I can't take that, rising costs and inflation are what they are.
Yep.
If your employer needs to give you a bump or a pay raise to to offset some of these costs and these cost of living increases, but you can't take that because you don't want to lose your home
Right.
or some of the services that you qualify for. Yeah, have we unfortunately created a system where it's keeping these people in place instead of giving them an opportunity to go up, like you said.
Absolutely. We need a there is a process called the Family Sustainability Act that does give people the ability to, as their wages go up, if their wages go up and therefore their rent goes up. So if you're living in a rent based housing facility, so say it's going to take 30% of your income and you make $1,000 a month, and so your rent's $300. Well, then you get a raise to $1,200 a month, right? And so then your rent goes up uh, commensurately. But if you're a member, if you're part of the Family Sustainability Act, the increased amount that you have to pay, instead of going to the landlord, goes into a savings account,
Oh,
and that money then grows, and that's a great thing. I just don't think it's enough of a thing. I think we need a tool that's more like an educational savings, the 529 that people save tax-free dollars for their kids to go to school at one day. I think if we had that around housing, it would be more effective, because then people could, if they're income limited to $45,000, but but they're part of this program, maybe they could save $10,000 a year, so they can make $55,000 living there, as long as $10,000 goes into that savings account for housing
yeah.
at some point. So I've talked to some legislators about that, and everybody thinks it's a good idea.
Yeah, incredible ways of thinking about it,
Yeah,
and in very very well, like you said, advocating and speaking with legislators. Who knows? Soon
right.
we could have something like that could help.
It absolutely would help. It would, because it would help our employers, because they would have people for more hours, right, which they need,
Yeah,
and it would help the people that are on the waiting list to get into subsidized housing,
certainly.
because it would help the people to get out and buy their own home. So it would, and again, it would create that river rather than a reservoir.
Wow, creative way of thinking about it, and I think the entire agency has certainly over the span of its tenure been able to think creatively. Former state senator George Edwards used to say that the prevailing winds blow from the west, and Annapolis tries to keep up. I think that's true. We truly are innovators up here in Garrett County, and I think our community action, it's fair to say, has stood head and shoulders above many because of its creative problem solvers, because of its innovative ways of solving and tackling these important issues. And I think that I could speak for a lot in saying community action. Garrett County wouldn't be where it is today without the work that you and your staff do. It is incredible to have you here in our community. I think it's something we all support, and I think that there's ways to be engaged and to make sure that community action continues to do its work far into the future. 60 years, I don't know if I'll be around here for 120, but I would be thrilled to see in that time do another proclamation for that tenure, and seeing how much more community action can do for our community in that time.
Yeah, I mean, I ultimately, I've always done jobs where my greatest hope was to work myself out of a job, right? The greatest hope is that
Yeah,
that
it's the
agencies
dream.
like community action aren't necessary. Um, but as long as people suffer, we need to be here, and there are, there's just a lot of people who are very disadvantaged, and don't have what other folks have, and don't have the opportunities, and so we want to provide opportunity. At the end of the day, I can't control what somebody does once I get them into the game,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I can get them into the game, and that's my job. Everybody's got to work hard once they get once they get a place at the table. They got to work hard. But if they're denied a place at the table, that's a whole other issue. And,
Yeah, definitely.
So that's, I think, what we exist to do. And I think our board is made up of people. It's called a tripartite board. So there's a third, a third of folks who are representative of people we serve. Right. So there's people that are participating in our programs or make up a third, and then there's folks that the county government appoints, and then there's people from the community. So like Garrett College always has somebody on our board. And the county commissioners appoint 5 people to our board, and then we have 5 people that are serving on the board who are part of our service community, and that makes a big difference in how we do our work. And so our board is absolutely essential. We have our board president, Melissa Rank, is great. Matthew Paul was the past president who has moved on to West Virginia. But the passion and energy that our board brings to meetings every month, and they get it. They get it. Not all nonprofit boards know what's up. Not all of them are committed to the mission, but I would say that when we get together, those 15 board members and several staff in that room, it's really good. A lot of really good energy,
awesome,
great ideas, so much support. So I'd definitely be remiss if I didn't talk about them, because we wouldn't be what we are without our board of directors.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I think all well said, Chris. Now, if anyone was listening today and wanted to learn more about community action, or maybe inquire where they could donate their time, their money, etc., where would they go?
So if you follow us on Facebook, that's a great place to go. Garrett County Community Action. Just if you have social media, we really need to build our following. You can also go to our website, which is garrettcac.org. That's a great place to get information. That will have job listings, volunteer opportunities, news, things that are happening, contacts for various staff people, various departments. So yeah, garrettcac.org is a great place to go.
All right, yeah. Fantastic.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure they can get plugged in from there, and it's got all of the, again, up to date news. It's got who to talk to, when to talk to them.
Absolutely.
Well, fantastic.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks so much for coming in here.
Thanks for having me
today, Chris, and being on the episode. I mean, just enlightening to hear what you guys have been up to, and I think a nice refresher for people that are listening along today to see what our community action is doing, and how they are such a huge help. At the end of every program, I kind of open up the mic to my guests. This is your opportunity to, if you have any announcements, maybe you just kind of want to reiterate what we talked about, put a little final plug here. I'm going to open the mic to you, Chris. Anything to say?
Well, I think one of the reasons, maybe the primary reason that Garrett County Community Action stands out among community action agencies, and it does. It's recognized nationally for innovation and what we do. I was talking to the new director of House of Hope yesterday, Linda Carr, and she and I were talking about how we can increase our partnership, and they're already great partners. She said in her short tenure at House of Hope, she's called our service coordination department several times, and they've called her to help each other's clients, right?
Awesome.
How do we share, I've got this client that needs this, I understand that you do that, that's great. The Christian Crossing out here, the Garrett Cooperative Ministries, thrift store, they do for our clients more than I could have imagined when I got here.
Really?
And yeah, so people that are donating and volunteering at Christian Crossing, just know that they are truly, truly a partner without which we could not do a lot of the work we do. I mean, our funding is so tight, so close, so many extra things we could never do. But when we have something that's not grant fundable or something that we can afford, we look to Garrett Cooperative Ministries, Christian Crossing. We look to House of Hope. We look to the Highlands up in Grantsville. We've got partners all over, and I hate to start naming people because I've already left out. I know I'll leave out people. We've got so many partners that step in, and that's a unique situation for Garrett County. I don't think that other communities partner in the ways that we do here. I think there's a lot of places, and I've experienced this, where there's kind of silos and maybe even competition. But here, it doesn't seem that anybody cares who gets the credit. And when nobody cares who gets the credit, there's no limit to what can happen. And that's a huge thing. So our partners, our nonprofit partners, our agency partners like the health department and others, amazing. Dove Center, amazing. I mean, these are people that we are working with constantly. And I will say that without the support of the commissioners, community action wouldn't look like it looks at all. There's not been a time when I've said, hey, I need to speak with you about this, or I need your help, that they haven't been willing to just jump in and help. And again, that's not something that happens everywhere, but it happens here. And that's been, I talked to other partners across our community action partnership where their relationship with their local government is sketchy, right? It's not what they.
Oh, certainly.
It's combative sometimes.
Yeah.
And ours is so cooperative. Jim Heinball, anything. And if I'm down in Annapolis and stop in his office, he's got time to chat. Mike McKay, he's always got time to chat. Like the people that represent us here represent us well, and I think that's huge. Our last congressman, David Trone, and our current Congresswoman, April McLean Delaney, amazing. Our two senators, it's incredible how much help there is. And, all of those people have Western Maryland reps that immediately got to know me. Hey, you need anything? They're calling me. Hey, can we schedule a visit? Can we sit down and chat about this program or this legislative idea? We wouldn't be what we are without those relationships. And I can say that from top to bottom, every single delegate that we have representing us at any level is supportive of what we do at Community Action.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It really is. That's saying a lot, too.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chris. I mean, this has been incredible. It's been enlightening. Congratulations to the whole agency on 60 years.
Oh, yeah, we're so excited.
So happy to have you here on this program. And, later next week, this will air around the same time. We'll be bringing you out to celebrate with a proclamation. So, that's really unique, and I think it's great to highlight in our community. So for anyone that's listening out there, you need to go and see my friend Chris. You need to go and see anyone at Community Action. What a tremendous organization doing a lot of good. Learn more about it. Learn how you can get plugged in. Go to garrettcac.org to find out more information. Contact them and see how you can get plugged in to help this community too. So again, thank you so much, Chris. Again, that's Chris Mullett, the president of Garrett County Community Action. So grateful to have him in here. And of course, everyone that's listening here to the Business B.E.A.R podcast, we want to thank you for listening along. Be sure to follow us on our Garrett County, Maryland Department of Business Development Facebook page, our LinkedIn, we've got a Twitter, and we have an Instagram now. Follow us to find out all that's happening in your business community, including when more episodes of the Business B.E.A.R podcast drop. So thanks again, folks. Again, this is Connor Norman, and I'll see you all on the other side.